In April 2025, the world was astonished by an attempted coup d'etat against Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traoré. The news spread swiftly on social media, resulting in a rush of global solidarity. Thousands of people marched through Paris in support of the African leader, waving signs reading "Courage Traoré" and "No to Foreign Intervention." The move was unexpected, especially in a city that has always supported French interests. The size of the protests surprised Emmanuel Macron. As he saw images of the crowd gathered in the iconic Place de la Bastille, he got extremely anxious. As president of France, he was aware that any public reaction could be interpreted as direct intervention in Burkina Faso's domestic affairs. However, the level of public sympathy for Traoré hinted at something deeper, a disguised criticism of France's neo-colonial operations on the African continent. Despite the perilous scenario created as a result of the coup attempt, Ibrahim Traoré remained calm. He had won the hearts of many Africans with his advocacy for national autonomy and hostility to international intervention. In a live address to his people, he vowed, "We will not allow our dreams of freedom to be stolen." His words reverberated beyond Burkina Faso's borders, inciting protests in Paris and around the world. Hawa Diallo, a Burkinabe journalist based in France, was key in organizing the protests. She used her media platforms to mobilize supporters and condemn any possible foreign involvement in the coup. "This is not just a fight for Burkina Faso," she stated in a passionate speech. "It is a fight for all of Africa." Her words resonated with the marchers, boosting the cause. Jean-Luc Moreau, a French diplomat based in Ouagadougou, found himself in a difficult situation. He was called to Paris on short notice to face allegations of French complicity in the coup. Although he denied any direct involvement, he recognized that public perception was as essential as fact. During a private conversation with Macron, he warned, "If we do not act with caution, we risk completely losing the trust of the African people." Macron, facing widespread criticism, knew that he was in an unprecedented circumstance. The Paris protests demonstrated that the world was changing and France needed to adapt. But how? He recognized that making the wrong decision may aggravate tensions and damage the country's reputation. The following decisions will define the future of Franco-African relations. Protests in Paris rose in intensity when videos circulating on social media revealed probable links between French agents and Traoré's coup plotters. Although these allegations were not formally proven, they significantly increased public distrust. The protests erupted, blocking main arteries in the city and demanding a response from the French government. Macron, under mounting criticism, decided to speak out. In a televised address, Macron emphatically denied French involvement in the coup attempt. "Our policy has always been based on cooperation and mutual respect," I heard him say. In reaction, the demonstrators booed and screamed "hypocrite" at these statements. The issue remained far from resolved. Traoré, for his part, took the opportunity to reaffirm his support. In an exclusive interview with Hawa Diallo, he added, "The French people are showing the world that the truth cannot be silenced. We are united in this effort." These statements underscored that France was being tested not only by Burkina Faso, but also by some of its own citizens. Hawa Diallo continued to lead the campaign in Paris, organizing daily marches and public talks. In a remarkable article, she said, "Macron must recognize that colonialism is not dead. It has simply changed shape, and the people have had enough." Her text went viral, sparking calls for justice. Jean-Luc Moreau, who is currently being investigated, made a desperate attempt to mediate. He suggested establishing an impartial investigation to shed light on the events leading up to the coup. His proposal, however, was met with mistrust by both demonstrators and the French government. In an interview, he said, "We are caught in a cycle of distrust that can only be broken through total transparency." In the middle of the increasing dispute, Macron began to reconsider his own stance. He knew he couldn't ignore the protests, but he couldn't simply give in to popular demands. The conflict was becoming increasingly personal, and he wanted to find a way to restore France's reputation before it was too late. The pressure on Macron grew as the Paris protests gained international support. African leaders began to speak out publicly, demanding a transparent investigation into France's alleged involvement in the coup against Traoré. The French president's situation was becoming increasingly untenable as he faced criticism from both inside and beyond the country. Meanwhile, Traoré took advantage of the problem to advance his position. He convened an emergency meeting of African Union leaders and urged the creation of an impartial tribunal to investigate coup attempts orchestrated by foreign powers. His initiative was highly welcomed, and many saw it as an opportunity to change relations between Africa and Europe. "The time has come to end the era of manipulation," he stated during the meeting. Hawa Diallo remained a significant figure in the Paris demonstrations. She organized a large assembly on the famous Champs-Élysées, when thousands marched with posters reading, "France, stop interfering," and "Justice for Burkina Faso." In a strong speech, she emphasized, "We are not asking for favors, we are demanding respect." Her words resonated around the world, transforming the movement into a global cause. Jean-Luc Moreau, now regarded as a prominent mediator, energetically pushed a diplomatic solution. He proposed a covert meeting of French government officials and Burkinabe leaders to discuss the investigation's next steps. Initially apprehensive, Macron eventually consented, seeing that he needed to interfere before the situation spiraled out of control. Macron, meanwhile, was under mounting internal pressure. Members of his own party reprimanded him for his hesitations, while the opposition accused him of cowardice in the face of what they called an African problem. He defended his decisions in front of the French Parliament. "We cannot continue to ignore the voices of the people, whether French or African. We need to change our strategy." These words sparked heated debates while also opening the door to new ideas. Traoré, in the midst of this political storm, wrote an open letter to the French people, thanking them for their support. He summed up, "Your solidarity shows that the fight for justice transcends borders." The letter was widely published and contributed to humanizing his image, reinforcing the idea that Africa was not alone in its yearning for statehood. The situation reached a climax when demonstrators briefly seized the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, demanding full exposure of the country's suspected complicity in the coup against Traoré. The episode garnered extensive publicity in foreign media, placing pressure on Macron. He realized he had to act quickly to avoid further escalation. In an unexpected step, Macron proposed the formation of an independent panel led by international experts to probe the allegations. In a televised speech, he stated, "We are committed to the truth, whatever the outcome." This announcement elicited a combination of skepticism and appreciation, particularly among demonstrators. Traoré recognized the opportunity to move forward from Ouagadougou. He proposed for an international gathering in Burkina Faso to discuss the future of African-European relations. "This is the moment to build bridges, not walls," he said at a press conference. His call received widespread support, with leaders from both continents confirming their participation. Hawa Diallo was key in coordinating efforts to ensure that grassroots perspectives were heard at the summit. She organized a series of panels with activists, journalists, and intellectuals to emphasize the importance of including local perspectives in global decisions. "Without the people, any agreement would be an empty shell," she observed during one of the discussions. Jean-Luc Moreau, who worked behind the scenes, successfully coordinated France's attendance at the summit, ensuring Macron's presence. He recognized that this event would mark a watershed moment in Franco-African ties. Traoré noted in a private conversation, "This is our opportunity to correct decades of mistakes." The atmosphere on Summit Day was laden with anticipation. Macron and Traoré exchanged a brief but meaningful handshake, indicating the start of a momentous discussion. Despite their mutual animosity, each understood they had taken the first step toward a more equitable and balanced future. Following the conference, tensions gradually eased. The independent panel produced preliminary findings, which corroborated evidence of foreign involvement in the Traoré coup, but did not directly condemn France. This ambiguity enabled Macron to preserve some of his government's legitimacy, while Traoré solidified his position as a Pan-African leader. Macron met internal roadblocks when seeking to implement the summit's recommendations. He proposed dramatically reducing France's military presence in Africa, while increasing expenditures on sustainable development. However, these ideas were met with strong criticism from conservative members of his party. "We are opening a new chapter," he said in an interview, "but this change will not be easy." Hawa Diallo continues to have an essential role in shaping public opinion. In a fascinating piece, she highlighted the limited progress made while cautioning against regressing. "We must remain vigilant," she wrote. "Change begins with hope, but it must be sustained by concrete actions." Her insight was widely shared, underlining the importance of being motivated by local interests. Jean-Luc Moreau, now regarded as a key mediator, maintained his cautious efforts to improve relations between France and Burkina Faso. He had a series of bilateral conversations to explore potential collaboration opportunities in areas such as education and infrastructure. His efforts were applauded from all sides, but he knew the work had only just begun. Meanwhile, Traoré faced internal challenges as he attempted to implement changes to strengthen Burkina Faso's democracy. During a tour of rural villages, he declared, "The war for independence is never over. We must continue to work toward a better future for all." His words inspired millions and cemented his status as a visionary leader. By the end of the year, a new dynamic had evolved in Franco-African relations. Though more work remained to be done, dialogue was now open, and formerly marginalized perspectives began to be heard. This indicated that a future unlike the past was possible. Months following the upheaval, Burkina Faso entered a time of renewal. Traoré, a well-known personality in African politics, continues to fight for sovereignty and self-determination. He knew the genuine challenge would come in the long run, but his resolve remained constant. During the inauguration of a new university, he addressed the students personally. "You are the architects of the future. We plant today so that you can reap tomorrow." Macron, on the other hand, had internal challenges in his efforts to reform French foreign policy. Despite criticism, he believed that France should adapt to global trends. In an exclusive chat, he explored the consequences of his conduct. "To move forward, you sometimes need to take a step back. We cannot repeat our mistakes from the past." His words elicited a mixture of support and distrust, but they marked the beginning of a new diplomatic approach. Jean-Luc Moreau, whose secret involvement was vital to the process, decided to accept a new diplomatic position in another African country. Before leaving, he spoke with co-workers about recent events. "Sometimes the smallest actions have the most profound implications. Behind the scenes, I learned that patience and communication can overcome even the most serious issues." He left Burkina Faso with a sense of duty fulfilled. Hawa Diallo, now well known around the world, has continued to use her platform to elevate overlooked perspectives. During a press freedom speech, she stated that the stories we tell shape the future we create. It is up to us to decide whether to spread hatred or or build bridges of mutual understanding. Her lecture inspired young journalists throughout the world, highlighting the importance of accurate and inclusive perspectives. She also published a book about recent events titled The Cry of Africa, which quickly became a bestseller. In Burkina Faso, the vast plaza of Ouagadougou has gradually regained its symbolic significance as a center of unity. Flags that had previously flown in the winds of protest were now raised in celebration. The people were conscious that much more work remained to be done, but they were proud of their achievements. Singers, artists, and activists gathered on the plaza for a cultural extravaganza honoring the country's resilience. Hawa Diallo, who was present for the ceremony, said, "This is a time of renewal. We are reinventing who we are and who we want to become." Finally, Traoré's comments rang true as a concluding message. True power lies in learning from the past to build a better future. So under a starry sky, Burkina Faso started a new chapter in its history. The scars from the past remained visible, but they served as a reminder that the fight for independence and sovereignty was worthy. The future remained unknown, yet full of possibilities.